All right, good morning. My name is Dan Royce, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about the Killer Nashville crime scene competition. A lot of you know me because I've been doing this for a while, but for those of you I haven't met, let me tell you a little bit about my background. I recently retired from TBI after 35 years. I worked in the firearm unit most of my career, but I also headed up what we call a violent crime response team. A violent crime response team is a group of 5 special agent forensic scientists. There's a firearms examiner, there's a trace evidence examiner, there's a latent print examiner, there's a forensic biology examiner, and there's a documentation specialist. So working as a team, we respond to crime scenes and we investigate. What we do is we locate and we document and we collect physical evidence that can tell us what happened and who's responsible. So obviously we have to train new people from time to time, and the competition that we're going to be doing today is based on the mock crime scenes that we put our new agents through as part of their training. It's kind of their final exam before we put them on a team. All right, so if you choose to compete, that's what you're going to be doing today. Why would you want to compete? Well, mostly because it's fun. There's prizes too. The winner will get a discounted admission to next year's Killer Nashville conference, and also you get the TBI challenge coin that I hold here in my hand. No monetary value, tons of bragging rights. The main thing is it's fun, and by competing, you may get to experience some of the challenges of crime scene investigation that otherwise might not occur to you. So, for those of you who want to give it a try, I'm going to explain how it works. For those of you who don't want to give it a try, you people are all dead to me. Just leave the room now. No, I'm kidding. At least come up to room 220 at some point in the conference and say hi. It gets lonely up there. Okay, we have our scene set up in room 220 of the hotel. That's a corner room. And when you get there, you'll be given a handout like this that explains the facts of the case and the rules for competing. Your job is going to be to perform the initial survey of the crime scene, to perform interviews, and based on what you find, to form a hypothesis of what happened, to locate physical evidence, and to determine what testing to assign to that evidence. So, unlike a real crime scene, for our mock crime scene, you'll be able to touch anything except the body, because the body's going to be all bloody, so don't touch that. But just make sure that everything winds up back where it started. All right, also as a part of this investigation, you're going to interview first responders and witnesses and persons of interest, and these are going to be pre-recorded video interviews just to ensure that everybody has an equal chance. The handout has instructions on the back page for accessing the interviews on your computer or smartphone, but it's also going to be up on the Killer Nashville website. The interviews are. Okay, once you've finished, you'll need an entry form like this one right here. One page is a crime scene diagram, which you can see here. And you're going to complete it by drawing in the victim's body, any evidence you find throughout the scene, and you're also going to fill in here what you think happened, and who did it, and what would be your next step in the investigation. Points to include would be what kind of weapon was used. Was this self-defense? Was it a homicide? If it is a homicide, was it planned or unplanned? What's the motive? Who are the suspects? Things that you're going to need to look for that will lead to a resolution in the case. The other page is sort of like the form that you would use to submit evidence that you've identified to the crime lab. So like in real life, you can have the right evidence, but if you don't assign the right testing to it, it doesn't help you any.
there's actually a good deal of judgment involved. So when you fill out this form, there's 4 main areas that you have to deal with. This one over here is evidence. This is processing at the scene, standards from the scene, and examinations requested from the laboratory. So let's start out with the first one. I know this seems like a lot and it's intimidating, but it's really very simple. This first one is marked evidence. So let's say we had a baseball bat. So right here under description, you'd write baseball bat. Location is the next little thing here. That's the grid where you found it. So you refer to the diagram here, and if anybody remembers the game Battleship, you have, let's say you had a baseball bat right here. Well, that would be D7. So, like the game Battleship, you would write D7 for the location. All right. Now, do we process it at the scene, or do we send it to the crime lab for processing? So just to give you a hint, most things are better processed at the lab, but some things can't be sent to the lab. That's for you to decide. So for example, if I was looking for latent prints on a baseball bat, well, I'd package that up and send it to the lab. If I was looking for latent prints on a countertop, I'd have no choice but to dust them at the scene. So, under description, you could also write the name of a person, such as a victim or a first responder or a suspect that you might want testing done on. Or you could even write in the area of the grid, such as B2 or A3, any place that you might want area processing on, like vacuuming for hairs or fibers or processing with luminol. So the next area is processing that you feel is appropriate to be done at the scene. If there's an abbreviation that you don't understand, you can Google it, you can ask me. But this year, you have a glossary available, which you see right here, that kind of explains what all of the testing is. The glossary is on the website too, and I have some hard copies available also. The area after that is for standards at the crime scene. If you're going to be asking for a comparison of some kind, then you need standards to compare it with. So I'd probably want my victim's finger and palm prints to compare to any prints found at the crime scene. The last area is for examinations you want performed at the lab, and once the evidence has been submitted. So for example, if I had a reddish-brown stain area on a baseball bat, I'd want a DNA comparison to my victim's DNA profile. All right, so for each of these areas, you indicate you want that work done by just putting a little X in the appropriate box. And the thing is, you have a maximum of 50 of these X's that you can assign, so choose wisely. All right, so your score is going to be the number of correctly placed X's in the entry form, as well as the accuracy of your hypothesis of what actually occurred. Now, please, please, please do not forget to put your name on it and turn it in by 1:30 p.m., either at registration or at the crime scene to me. So 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, August 25th. And good luck, and I will see you at the crime scene in